Coming up on today's show.
If you aren't comfortable with keeping your information digitally, you're going to avoid it. Whatever system you use, whether it's paper or digital, has to be something that you're going to commit to.
But where do we store this stuff? How, what kinds of, tools can we use to store, all these paper things?
And if you have something that is draining your energy to begin with, trying to think, okay, I'm going to do all of these things. I'm going to file my paperwork. I'm gonna log into my portal. That's not forefront on your mind when you're trying to live a life and take care of a chronic condition.
How to get organized when you have a chronic or extended illness, part 2, today on Keeping You Organized. Well, welcome to Keeping You Organized. Today we're going to continue a discussion we started last time on Keeping You Organized, and that is dealing with organizational issues when you're in a situation where you or someone in your household has a chronic or extended illness. Julie Bestry from Best Results Organizing and juliebestry.com joins us. Julie, welcome back.
Thanks, it's always good to be here.
Well, last time we kind of talked a little broader about, kind of your journey and why your company kind of specializes in some of this, and also kind of just the larger systematic way we deal with this. So if people didn't watch or listen to that, they can go back to the previous episode. But today, let's focus in a little bit more. And I know a question that people are going to ask us is, well, how about digital or paper, which, a lot of doctors' offices now have a lot of digital stuff. So how do we work in this new era of two kinds of information?
Well, one of the things that I think is always important is that we have to remember that you have to organize for the person, not necessarily the condition or what's popular now. Some of my clients, particularly seniors, although I have some seniors who love digital, but if you aren't comfortable with keeping your information digitally, you're going to avoid it. Whatever system you use, whether it's paper or digital, has to be something that you're going to commit to. We've talked about that, John, when we've talked about calendar systems or to-do systems. Well, if you have information that you need to keep, everything from start with doctor's appointments, okay? I always tell people, well, make your doctor's appointment before you leave the doctor and then write them down or put them in your phone, okay? That's something simple. It's gonna go on your calendar, okay? Whether you write it in a paper calendar or put it in your phone, you still need to think, okay, well, how am I gonna prompt myself? So if you made an appointment for March 1st, you should make a note in your paper calendar, if that's what you use, for like late February, in case you haven't turned the page to March, reminding yourself that you have a doctor's appointment coming up. If you have lab orders, a lot of times you'll go to the doctor, they'll give you a printout of something that you have to take to a lab, but you don't have to go to the lab until a week or two before your next doctor's appointment. Well, you need something to trigger yourself, to remind yourself to do that, whether you keep the piece of paper and tuck it in your calendar in the week that you want to do it, or you put a reminder in your Google Calendar or your phone or whatever you're using. There are other things like EOBs, explanation of benefits. That's that paperwork that the insurance company sends you and says, okay, the doctor charged this much, we covered this much, and you have to pay this. Well, people don't know, well, do I need to keep my EOBs? Where should I keep them? And I, again, say, let's look at your whole system. If your insurance company keeps it online and you'd rather look online and compare it with your bills, that's great. If you're somebody who wants to put pieces of paper side by side, you get your bill on paper, you want the EOB on paper, then you're going to want a paper system. Right. Same thing with your medical bills. And of course, we've talked about this before that, I talk about having a family filing system, which is financial, legal, medical, household, and personal. Well, your medical results, your test results, things that you get like a postcard or a letter saying what your results are, you need to have a filing system for them. If your doctor uses a patient portal and says, oh, all of your results are there and you have to log in, well, if you're not the sort of person who likes to log in, you might ask your spouse or your child or your grandchild to log in once a month and print that information off for you so that you can keep it in your paper file.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit before in the last episode where, I think even though it's a digital society, we still have tons of papers. So you talked about in the last episode about kind of organizing on the big kitchen table. But where do we store this stuff? How, what kinds of, tools can we use to store, all these paper things? Because yeah, it's appointment cards, it's test results, it's schedules, it's, how to, don't eat for 3 days after you do this. So any ideas on that?
Sure. Well, if it's something that you need to refer to daily after you've had surgery or something, there is nothing better than sticking it up there on the refrigerator, same place kids' art goes. But in general, you're going to have to think about portability, expandability, and durability. If you've got papers, for example, you can use file folders. File folders are traditional. They're fine whether you have a filing cabinet or a one of those plastic milk crate style file boxes, something very, very simple, and you just label it, John's medical stuff, whatever you want. But when you have a chronic condition, you're going to be seeing multiple doctors. There's this horrible word that they use in the medical community called comorbid. It's when you have one condition, but it means you probably are going to have a bunch of other related or intersecting things. And that's when you need a broader system for your paper. Now, some people like 3-ring binders so that they can carry the whole thing to an appointment without having to worry about something falling out. The problem is, if you have a 3-ring binder, you have to remember to punch holes in things.
You need a 3-hole punch.
Yeah, if you have a chronic condition, health condition, particularly something like rheumatoid arthritis or something that's going to make it painful in your joints to have to use a hole punch, or just if you're not the sort of person who enjoys that, there are options beyond a file folder or a 3-ring binder. What I know you're going to be happy that I want to point this out, but I'm happy to, is Smead actually has, I sound like a commercial.
Well, look at that. Amazing.
You have these all-in-one accordion style binders, and here's the paper one, the Healthcare and Wellness Organizer. Yep. But the one that I think is so cool is that you've got this plastic one. You hear it? It's got accordion style binding, but it's also got a space in the back for storing things.
Hey, Julie, pull out that little piece of paper. That little piece of paper that's in the back of that organizer. Open that up for just a second, because this is one of the things on this product that people are absolutely crazy about. And so there it is. It's the wheel of organization. So actually, what different headings or suggested headings, and that really is going to take that idea of taking the stuff off those piles on the kitchen table and saying, well, actually, how should I file those? So
right, and your categories are very similar to the categories that we use: billing and insurance, your family health summary or your personal health summary, electronic healthcare account information, because we're going from this paper conversation to digital. If your doctor, so for example, my mother had some health concerns in this past year, and her the hospital where she had been and all of her doctors are all part of the same sort of medical umbrella. So she can log into one patient portal, or I can on her behalf, and see all of the test results, all of the upcoming appointments, the prior appointments, but you have to have your login. And if you go to a hospital and 4 different doctors and none of them are part of that same umbrella, they're all going to be using different electronic medical record systems, which means you're going to be having different portals. And if you have different portals, you have all of those different passwords you have to keep track of. So every system has to be ready for you to integrate it into your life because you can't control what your doctor's office uses.
Yes.
And you also have to be able to somewhat integrate your life into what else is going on. But you are probably going to have to mix the digital and the paper. So you want to pick, again, a system that you are going to commit to.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we've got to talk about the behavioral piece, which is how do you handle dealing with these systems. We got a real pretty and nice organizer, but we need the behavior around to help keep it organized. So we're with Julie Bestry from Best Results Organizing, talking about how to get organized with a chronic or extended illness, and we'll be right back.
Now, there's a place just for you. Life can be busy, and you still have to keep it all together. That's why you like to be organized and in control. Introducing MyOrganized.life, a special place where you can get ideas and solutions to organize what's important to you, your important papers, your important decisions, your important life events. We show you the ideas and products to stay organized in your life. See what's new. Stop by and say hello. Visit us at any time at www.myorganized.life. It's just for you. MyOrganized.life by Smead. Find us at www.myorganized.life. MyOrganized.life.
We are back now on Keeping You Organized, talking about how to get organized with a chronic or extended illness. Maybe it's you, maybe it's someone in your household. And Julie Bestry from Best Results Organizing is with us, juliebestry.com. Julie, we talked about the physical system, the all-in-one healthcare organizer, which is really nice. It's a nice solution. You can use notebooks, you can use digital things. There's a lot to systems, but let's talk about behavioral. How do we, move beyond, hey, I've got this nice box with some really organized things, to using it properly?
Well, it's true. Like, I can tell somebody, use vertical storage. Store your supplies in over-the-door shoe organizers or sweater organizers in the closet. Use wire shelf risers in the cabinet, or tell them to label everything. But again, if you have something that is draining your energy to begin with, trying to think, okay, I'm going to do all of these things. I'm going to file my paperwork. I'm gonna log into my portal. That's not forefront on your mind when you're trying to live a life and take care of a chronic condition. So you have to have the behavioral part of the system sort of serve you. Mm-hmm. So number one thing is schedule things. You're not always going to feel up to something, but if you say, okay, Mondays are my day to go through paperwork, and I'm going to, after lunch, sit down with a cup of tea and go through paperwork, just having a game plan can make you feel more confident. Setting alarms, whether it's an alert on your computer, on your phone, your task list, Gmail and Outlook calendars, all of these things will allow you to send alerts. Evernote has something that will send alerts to you. You can set a reminder. So whatever auditory or visual reminder that you can set means you don't have to constantly be keeping it in the forefront of your mind of what you have to do. You can use visual stimuli too, not just something that's going to pop up, but think about how on your dishwasher you've seen those magnets that you turn it upside down or right side up for clean and dirty. You can do things like that. You can have your piles of papers in such a way that, okay, this is your inbox, this is your to file paper. Just seeing what's in each place can give you a trigger, rather than having it sort of hidden away in a drawer. Buddy up, you can call a friend, like if you know somebody from a support group or somebody you met in the doctor's office, or a friend who just has other tasks that are similar. You can call or FaceTime or Skype, turn it on, say hello, and quietly work side by side. For years, what used to be the National Institute of Chronic Disorganization, the National Study Group on Chronic Disorganization, which is now the Institute for Challenging Disorganization, always talked about body doubling, that idea that you're doing a task while someone else is doing a task, and just being in proximity to somebody working sort of in that same quiet, concentrated way helps you focus. So you can buddy up. You can use habit trackers, things like Don't Break the Chain, just all sorts of apps that will remind you and sort of gamify it to make it easier for you. I also like telling people to tie a task to something else. So, for example, I have clients who do personal Bible study every morning. So I will say, well, put your Bible near your paperwork. And so when you finish the one task, you do the next. For some clients, if they forget to take their medication, but they don't ever forget to take their dogs for a walk, we have like either a Post-it note by the leash, or we put the leash by the meds, something that we pair the two tasks together, so that it makes sure that people are staying organized. And I like to encourage people to make it fun. So you may have a particular song or playlist. For me, I love Pink's song Bad Influence. It's like a kind of wacky song. And when I have to do a task that related to organizing that even I may not like, that song is my trigger to, okay, let's get the energy up and get to it. I think all of these things, reminding yourself to do it, pairing it with something else, having somebody support you, and making it fun, none of it is perfect, because when you don't feel well, when you have up and down days, life doesn't feel perfect. But each thing makes it a little bit easier.
Right. You know, I think it's also important to kind of give the big benefit of saving money, right? So how can getting organized actually help you financially or help you save money in this whole process?
Oh my gosh. Well, the big thing is bills. For example, hospital audits by Medicare show that up to 49% of medical bills contain errors. So something as simple as knowing your basics and then paying attention to your bills. So last year, I remember somebody posted something on Facebook. They posted a question saying, I already hit my deductible, so why is my doctor still billing me? And people were sort of saying, oh, that's terrible. And I said, well, when you hit your deductible, it just means that your insurance kicks in, and for example, like you're 80/20 and you owe a lesser amount. But you need to know what your out-of-pocket limit is. That's the point at which the insurance covers everything and you don't have to pay. So you need to sit down and sort of make yourself a cheat sheet. Know your premiums, know what your deductible is versus your out-of-pocket. Know what's on your formulary. That's that big list that your insurance company says is, we'll cover these medicines, but not these. So I always tell people, when you're sort of sitting back, relaxing, when you're not, in a high stress moment, take your insurance policy or even call your insurance company and they will walk you through it, and make yourself a cheat sheet so you know what all your numbers are. You need to know who's in network versus out of network, because you're going to get charged much more and you're not necessarily going to have coverage if you see a doctor who's out of network.
Right.
In addition to paying attention to your bills, people have so many expenses related to prescriptions, and there are a lot of ways that you can bring down your prescription costs. There's a company called GoodRx.com, and GoodRx allows you to do two things. You can log on and put in your zip code and compare your prices so you take medication X. You can compare how much it's going to cost for you to get that, which is really important if you have co-insurance where you have to pay like 50% of the cost, as opposed to a copay where you're paying your full, you're paying $25 for each medication.
Right.
You can ask your pharmacist to help you compare, because sometimes with a generic drug, it can be cheaper to pay the retail price than your copay. And it's wacky that it's like that, but it is. You should go to your pharmaceutical company's website to look for a drug discount card. So many people don't know this, but if you go to let's say you're taking, again, medication X, you go to medication X's website. You may need to Google it to find out who makes it. And then apply, and applying is usually just filling out a little form. Then you get this card with a code on it, and your pharmacist will type in that code. So if normally, if you have co-insurance instead of a copay, and you'd have to pay $200 for a medication because you haven't hit your deductible yet, your insurance processes it and says, okay, John has paid $200, okay, towards his deductible. But then your pharmacist will apply the discount card, and you might only have actually had to pay $15 or $20. And it seems almost like you're cheating, but it's not. This is the system as long as you know about it.
Well, Julie, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. There's something called the Partnership for Prescription Assistance, and it's at pparx.org, and it provides qualified help to people. And so all of this information that most people don't know about, organizing, just having like a list of these little websites like needymeds.org that lists assistance programs, you can find out whether you're on Medicare, whether you're on personal insurance, whether you don't have any insurance at all. If you have the information regarding what it should cost you for a medication and you have ways to get discounts, you're going to save money. If you don't know what your copay is, if you don't know what your co-insurance is, or how close you are to meeting your deductible or your out-of-pocket, it's hard to make wise decisions. So being organized saves you money.
Well, this is like, that last couple minutes is just jam-packed. We're going to have as many of the things in the show notes as we can that will cover that stuff, Julie. But we're out of time now for this. We've covered tons. We'll have the show notes. But one thing you didn't mention there on saving money, I bet hiring a professional to help you, this will actually help you save some money. So tell us what you do in this arena and how people can get a hold of you.
Well, as a professional organizer, I work with clients for all sorts of reasons to help them save time and money, reduce their stress, increase their productivity. If they have a health condition, it's even more important to be able to empower them and take control of those things. So I, like my colleagues from the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals, NAPO, we work directly with clients, and you can find them at napo.net. You can find me at juliebestry.com. My company's Best Results Organizing, and I'm Julie Bestry.
Hey, awesome. Well, Julie, thank you so much. This has been great information. Again, 2 episodes here, so go back and view or listen to the first one if you didn't catch that. And we'll have show notes on how you can get a hold of Julie. And just thank you so much, Julie. It was just another great information-filled podcast.
And I hope everybody has an organized and healthy week.
Great. Well, there you have it, folks. Now you should have some great ideas on how to get organized when you have a chronic or extended illness. We did talk about the all-in-one healthcare organizer, both the paper version and the poly version. You can get those at myorganized.life. We'll have a link to that as well, and we'll ship it right out to your home too. So that's it, folks. We'll see you next time on Keeping You Organized.